Many of our Capitol Report segments feature legislation that passed in 2014, kind of discussing the details of those bills. And we have Senator Barb Goodwin joining us now to talk about two of hers. Thank you for joining us, Senator.
Thank you, Julie.
I want to begin. A couple of months ago, you were on Capitol Report and you talked about your proposal to establish a working group to assist the mentally ill who are incarcerated. Now, this did pass. So what will this working group look at specifically?
Well, we're going to look at a couple examples around the country of ways that other states have avoided putting people into jail and prisons, people with mental illness, with low-level crimes or disturbing the peace or whatever. Because right now there's not enough beds in psychiatric beds. The police have a difficult time bringing people to hospitals because it takes 2, 3, 4 hours to process them, and they don't have that kind of time. So now, oftentimes they end up in jail where they don't belong. And our objective in this is to make sure that we have an alternative to that.
Why is it important to you that there be a distinction between those who are incarcerated who may have a mental illness and those who don't?
Well, because years ago, it would have never happened that they would have ended up in jail, even for, small things like disturbing the peace or whatever. The issues now are many. One is housing, the availability of housing, so a lot of people with mental illness are homeless, and sometimes jail is an alternative to sleeping in the cold. The other thing is that we don't have enough psychiatrists or psychiatric beds or whatever to hold people. And so oftentimes they end up in jail, and oftentimes for a very long time, because there's nowhere else to put them. And so it's very important that people not be incarcerated. To me, it's very important for having a mental illness, basically, is what they're being incarcerated for. And we have agreement from the county sheriffs. They don't like this only option either for them. They tell me that about 30% of the people in jail have a mental illness, and that's a lot, and it's very costly on top of it. So we're looking for better, more humane and less expensive alternatives. One that we're particularly looking at is in Orange County, Florida, and it's a hub, and it's been going for about 10 years. And this is a place where the police bring people rather than a hospital or a jail, and the processing is very quick, and then the people are assessed when they get there, determined what is needed. If they need to de-escalate for a couple of days, they have places that they can do that. They help them with housing if they're homeless. They make sure that they're on medication. They have medication management. And what they found is that it's saved the county millions of dollars, and the state as well. And it has successfully given people the kind of treatment that they need and deserve.
Well, this working group, do you expect them to have some recommendations by the next legislative session, or is this going to take a little time?
Yes, I do, and there's many ideas out there already. We met several times. Several of us met several times last summer and fall, and so we know what the needs are, and we know where they are, and we just need to find out how we can make this happen. So today is our first meeting, actually, and today I'm meeting with Judge Quam from Hennepin County and Sue Aberholden, who's the director of the National Alliance for Mental Illness, and we're going to plan our first work group meeting. We're calling it a work group. It's not just a task force, because we really do want to come forward in January with some good plans for starting this hub, for one thing, and looking at the homeless situation and medication management and outside aftercare. People are not often followed after they leave a hospital or a jail, and then they get into the same kind of a circle.
Right. Well, of course, we'll track the working group as it proceeds, but we want to shift to the Safe at Home program, Senator. It does allow for certain addresses to remain confidential, primarily in the case of victims of domestic violence. Your bill tightened existing standards. Explain what loophole you closed.
Well, there was a loophole that okay, first of all, I want to explain briefly the Safe at Home program, because a lot of people don't understand it, and it's a very good program. It's operated through the Secretary of State's office, and somebody that has been the victim or constant victim of domestic violence or abuse, or has been stalked a lot, can find a new location to live where their address is very private. In fact, they get their mail at the Secretary of State's office, and the Secretary of State then makes sure that they get their mail, but nobody has their address. Well, the problem was is if the same people went to buy a house or a condo or something, their name was still on the titles in the county records. And so what we did this year was make sure that there were separate records for people that are in this program. I believe right now there's about 1,500 people in this program, but it's a good program, and if people need something like this, all they have to do is contact the Secretary of State's office and they'll help them set it up.
And we will provide that link in just a moment, but how vital is it for you to keep this particular program operational? And are there other loopholes you've identified that you might pursue next session?
As far as Safe at Home?
As far as Safe at Home.
Well, I don't know about others, but the Secretary of State's office has been very good about systematically reviewing the program and making sure that any problems are addressed each session. So I also, had a bill to address some of the issues last session as well. And so we keep finding these places where it's possible. The program is important because I think it saves lives. There are some people that have been so viciously attacked or so afraid of their partner or of somebody that is just stalking them or whatever, that it not only saves the lives of that person, but it's the children as well. It safeguards the children. So it's a very important program.
Okay, Senator Goodwin, and again, we do provide that link as soon as this segment is over, and we appreciate your time. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you very much, Julie. Appreciate it.